Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever set a goal with all the right intentions, only to see it fade away in a few days or weeks? You're not alone. Most people don't fail because they lack ambition, but because they haven't learned how to set goals that actually work. Goal setting isn't just writing a wish list. It's about building a clear roadmap to turn your dreams into daily actions. A real goal doesn't live in your mind. It lives in your calendar, your habits, and your mindset. Let's start by understanding this truth. A goal without a plan is just a wish. If your goal isn't specific, measurable, or actionable, it'll remain a daydream. Think of goals like a GPS. You need to know 1. Where you're starting, 2. Where you want to go, 3. And the exact route to get there. Setting powerful goals is not just about motivation. It's about structure, tracking, and accountability. It's about aligning your vision with daily effort. Today, I'll give you 7 core principles to set goals that actually work. If you apply these, you'll no longer just set goals, you'll reach them. One of the biggest mistakes people make when setting goals is being too vague. We often say things like, I want to be successful, I want to lose weight, or I want to make more money. But here's the truth. Vague goals produce vague results. If your goal is not clearly defined, your mind has nothing to lock onto, and your actions become inconsistent, unfocused, and scattered. Specificity is power. When you are crystal clear about what you want, you activate a part of your brain called the reticular activating system, RAS. This system helps you notice opportunities, patterns, and tools related to your goal that you would otherwise overlook. But it only works when your brain knows exactly what it's supposed to look for. Let's take an example. Saying, I want to get healthier is too broad. What does healthier even mean? To one person, it could mean eating more vegetables. To another, it might mean running a marathon. The vagueness leaves room for confusion, excuses, and ultimately inaction. Now compare that to a specific goal. I will go to the gym every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 a.m. for a 45-minute workout focused on strength training. This goal tells your brain and your body exactly what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. It's not just an idea. It's a mini action plan. Specific goals also allow you to measure progress and recognize success. If your goal is to write more, you won't know when you've succeeded. But if your goal is to write 500 words every weekday, you can easily track your performance, and you know exactly when you've hit your target. In business, in relationships, in health, clarity is your best friend. If your goal is unclear, how can you expect to reach it? Imagine building a house without a blueprint. Imagine driving to a new city without a map or GPS. That's what it's like trying to reach a vague goal. Being specific forces you to think. It makes you define your terms, calculate your needs, and build your next steps in a way that's real, not theoretical. It forces you to confront what you actually want, not what you kind of want or what sounds good. So the next time you write a goal, ask yourself, what exactly do I want? When do I want it? What will it look like when I get there? What steps are involved, and can I start one of them today? Specificity isn't a small tweak, it's a total game changer. It turns ideas into action and dreams into destinations. A goal that can't be measured is a goal that can't be managed. One of the major reasons people lose motivation or abandon their goals is because they have no way of knowing if they're making progress. That's where measurability comes in. When your goal is measurable, it turns your journey into a trackable process instead of a guessing game. Think about it. If you're trying to lose weight and your goal is simply to get fit, how will you know when you've succeeded? There's no milestone, no target, no way to celebrate progress. But if your goal is, I want to lose 10 pounds in 8 weeks, and now you've created a benchmark. You've introduced structure, you've given yourself a destination, and more importantly, a way to track how close you're getting to it. Measurement keeps your goals visible. It lets you ask yourself, am I moving forward or standing still? What pace am I going at? Do I need to speed up, slow down, or shift direction? Without measurement, your efforts are like running on a treadmill. Lots of motion, but no real sense of movement. Let's consider another example. Say you want to grow your business. That's great, but how will you measure growth, revenue, client count, website traffic, social media engagement? Pick a metric or a few and attach numbers and timelines to them. For instance, I want to increase monthly revenue by 25% in the next 90 days by gaining 10 new high-ticket clients. Now that's a measurable goal. You can track how many clients you gain each week. You can calculate whether you're on pace or falling behind. If the plan isn't working, you can adjust quickly instead of wasting months in the dark. Measurement brings accountability. It shows you where you stand. It forces you to face your numbers instead of relying on feelings like, "I think I'm doing okay," or "It feels like I've made some progress." Feelings can lie, data doesn't. Measurement also gives you a chance to celebrate progress. Maybe your final goal was to save $10,000 this year. By measuring your savings monthly, you get to experience 12 mini victories along the way. And those mini wins keep you emotionally engaged with your goal. They remind you that you're making real progress, and that fuels momentum. Another underrated benefit of measurable goals is that they help you understand what's not working. If your goal is to grow your YouTube channel by 1,000 subscribers in 60 days, and after 30 days you've gained only 100, that's a sign. Not a sign to quit, but a signal to rethink your content, marketing, or posting frequency. Measurement guides your decisions and improves your strategy. So the next time you set a goal, ask yourself, can I attach a number to it? Can I break it into weekly or monthly targets? Can I see clear evidence that I'm moving forward? Because at the end of the day, you can't improve what you don't measure, and you can't reach what you can't track. Big goals can be exciting, but they can also be incredibly overwhelming. We've all been there. You set a massive goal like writing a book, launching a business, losing 50 pounds, or mastering a new skill. At first, you're fired up. You imagine the end result, you feel inspired, and you're ready to take on the world. But then, reality hits. You don't know where to start. The mountain looks too high, the task feels too large, and that's when most people give up. But here's the truth. No big goal is accomplished all at once. Every great achievement is the result of 1,000 small steps taken consistently. You don't climb a staircase by leaping to the top. You do it one step at a time. The same is true for your goals. When you break a big goal into small, actionable steps, 3 powerful things happen. 1. Clarity increases. The first benefit is clarity. Instead of staring at a huge, blurry goal, you now have a clear, bite-sized task in front of you. For example, if your big goal is to start a YouTube channel, break it down. Day 1, choose your niche. Day 2, write a content plan. Day 3, set up your channel art and branding. Day 4, write a script for your first video. Day 5, record and edit. Suddenly, the chaos disappears. Each day has a mission. Each mission feels doable. And as you complete each piece, the larger picture starts coming together. 2. Momentum builds. Success doesn't come from big leaps. It comes from small wins stacked on top of each other. Every time you complete one small step, you build confidence and momentum. That momentum is powerful. It creates motion. Motion creates motivation, and that motivation becomes the fuel to keep going, even when things get tough. The most successful people in the world don't wait for motivation to act. They act first, and motivation follows. That's the power of breaking your goals down. It gives you something you can act on immediately. 3. Fear shrinks. Big goals often come with fear. Fear of failure, fear of the unknown, fear of not being good enough. But small steps don't feel scary, they feel safe. You're not trying to conquer the entire world in one night. You're just taking one step forward today, and guess what? You can do that. You don't need to know all the answers. You don't need to see the entire staircase, you just need to see the next step. When you break your goal into pieces, you remove fear and replace it with focus. Let's say you want to write a book. That can sound terrifying. But what if your only task for today is to write 200 words? That's one short paragraph. You can do that, and if you do that every day for 3 months, you'll have a finished draft. That's the secret. Consistency over intensity. Big goals are achieved when they become daily habits, and habits are formed through small, repeated actions. So every time you set a goal, ask yourself, what is the first small action I can take? What can I do in 10 minutes that moves me forward? How can I turn this big dream into a daily routine, break it down, make it simple, and then just take the next step, one foot in front of the other? Setting goals is easy. Sticking to them when things get hard, that's where most people fall short. And the reason is simple. They never anchored their goal to something deeper, something emotional, personal, and meaningful. That deeper reason is called your why. Your why is the emotional driver behind your goal. It's the fuel that keeps you moving when motivation fades, when obstacles show up, and when progress feels slow. Without a strong why, even the best goals can feel empty. But with a strong why, even the toughest days can feel worth it. Let's look at this with an example. Suppose your goal is to lose 30 pounds. On the surface, it sounds like a health goal. But ask yourself, why? Why do you want to lose 30 pounds? Is it to have more energy so you can play with your kids without getting tired? Is it to gain confidence and stop hiding in photos? Is it to reverse a health condition and live longer? Or maybe it's to finally feel proud when you look in the mirror. The more emotionally connected you are to the answer, the more powerful your goal becomes. Because here's the truth, discipline and willpower won't last forever, but purpose will. Purpose makes pain meaningful. Purpose makes sacrifice feel valuable. If your goal is just about looking good or hitting a number, that can be crushed the moment you hit a bad day, a bad mood, or a moment of self-doubt. But if your goal is tied to a mission, something that connects to your identity or the people you love, it becomes nearly unbreakable. A strong why turns a temporary effort into a lifelong transformation. This is why you should always go deeper when defining your goal. Ask why at least 5 times. Let's say, I want to grow my business. Why? Because I want to make more money. Why? So I can have more freedom. Why? Because I want to spend more time with my family. Why? Because I missed out on family time growing up and I don't want to repeat that cycle. Boom, there it is. That's your real why. That's the reason you'll wake up earlier. That's the reason you'll keep going when results don't show immediately. That's the reason you'll work harder than others. Because your goal is no longer just a goal. It's a mission with a soul. Your why is also what brings you back when you fall off track. And you will fall off track. Life happens, setbacks will come, but your why is your anchor. It reminds you why you started. It's the internal voice that whispers, get back up, this matters. So if you want your goal to last, if you want it to work, you have to give it meaning. Real meaning, not borrowed motivation from Instagram, not surface-level hype. Real personal meaning that lights a fire inside you. So ask yourself today, why is this goal important to me, truly? Who will benefit when I succeed? What pain will I avoid, or what joy will I gain by achieving this? Tie your goal to something that moves your heart, not just your mind, because the deeper your why, the stronger your commitment. A goal without a deadline is just a dream with no urgency. It sounds nice, it feels good in your mind, but in reality, it has no legs to stand on. Here's the thing about human nature, we delay what we think we have time for. We procrastinate when there's no consequence. We say, I'll start tomorrow, or next week, or when I have more time. But let's be honest, tomorrow often turns into never. That's why deadlines matter. Deadlines create pressure. Deadlines create action. Deadlines force focus. Without them, your goal becomes a someday goal. And someday is not a day of the week. Let's look at how deadlines work in real life. Think back to school or university. You probably had assignments or projects that you didn't start until the night before they were due. Why? Because the deadline created urgency. You didn't feel like doing it earlier, but the deadline pushed you into action. The same applies to your personal goals. If your goal is to start a side hustle, but you don't give yourself a specific date to launch it, You'll keep researching, overthinking, planning, adjusting, and never actually starting. But if you say, I will launch my first product by August 15th, now you have a finish line. Now your brain starts working backward. Now your calendar becomes a battlefield where time has to be managed. Now your focus sharpens. Deadlines help you plan backward and act forward. They also help you build momentum through micro-targets. For example, final goal, run a marathon in 6 months. Deadline, December 10th. Breakdown, by September, run 10K. By October, run 15K. By November, run 20K. Now every step has a time attached. And every time you hit those mini deadlines, you gain confidence. Another powerful benefit of deadlines, they hold you accountable. When your goal has a date attached, it's no longer just a hope. It becomes a commitment. You're declaring to yourself and even to others, this is happening by this day. And that level of clarity triggers action, because once a goal has a deadline, procrastination becomes painful. And that discomfort can be used as fuel. There's also a psychological edge here. Deadlines train your brain to take goals seriously. The moment you give your goal a time limit, your brain says, okay, this is real, we're on the clock. Let's go. Without that ticking clock, your brain stays in idle mode, no urgency, no movement. But a quick warning, your deadlines must be realistic and challenging. Too much time and you'll delay. Too little time and you'll burn out. Find the sweet spot, just enough pressure to act, but not so much that it crushes your motivation. So when you set your goals, always follow it with this question, by when? And don't just stop at the big deadline. Create weekly or even daily targets. Turn your calendar into a scoreboard. Break time into chunks and assign each chunk a mission. Deadlines give your goal life. Without them, your dreams float. With them, they land. Setting a goal is only the beginning. Achieving it, that requires constant alignment, and that's where weekly reviews become essential. Most people set a goal once, start working on it, and then blindly push forward without ever stopping to ask, is this actually working? That's like sailing a ship without ever checking your compass. You might be moving fast, but in the wrong direction. Weekly reviews are your personal recalibration system. They keep your vision sharp, your actions aligned, and your progress measurable. Without weekly check-ins, even the strongest goals can drift off course without you realizing it, until it's too late. Think of your goal like a plane flying from New York to Los Angeles. The plane isn't perfectly on course the entire time. It's off track most of the journey due to winds, turbulence, and other factors, but the pilot constantly reviews the instruments and makes micro adjustments. That's why the plane arrives at its destination. Your goals work the same way. Life will throw you off course. Work stress, family obligations, unexpected events, lack of motivation. If you're not reviewing and adjusting regularly, your progress will suffer, and worst of all, you might not even notice. What does a weekly review look like? It doesn't have to be long or complicated. In fact, it can take just 15-30 minutes, but it must be intentional. Here are some questions you can ask yourself every week. What progress did I make this week? What actions moved me closer to my goal? What distractions pulled me away? What worked well, and why? What didn't work? And what will I change? What is my main focus for the upcoming week? This process does 3 critical things. 1. It builds self-awareness. When you review your week, you stop operating on autopilot. You become conscious of your habits, your patterns, your wins, and your weaknesses. That self-awareness is where real change begins. You stop blaming time or luck and start seeing your role in your results. 2. It creates momentum. Progress breeds motivation, but you can't feel progress if you don't track it. Weekly reviews allow you to see how far you've come. Even small steps forward feel meaningful when you take a moment to reflect on them. Those reflections fuel belief, and belief fuels action. 3. It helps you adjust your strategy. Maybe a method you tried isn't working. Maybe your schedule needs tweaking. Maybe your goal needs to be redefined. The weekly review is your chance to adapt before you burn out or give up. Flexibility is not weakness. It's wisdom. The goal remains, but the path can shift. Let's say your goal was to study 2 hours a day, but you only managed 45 minutes most days. Instead of quitting, you adjust. You realize that mornings work better than nights. You tweak your plan. That small adjustment might be the key to long-term success. But without review, you'd never know. Another benefit, it keeps your goals in front of you. Most people fail simply because they forget their goal. Life gets busy, new distractions appear, old habits return. A weekly review keeps your goal top of mind. It reminds you, this matters. This is who I'm becoming. So instead of waiting for the end of the month or the year to evaluate, check in every week. Make it a ritual. Sunday evening, Friday afternoon, Monday morning, pick a time and make it non-negotiable. Light a candle, play your favorite music, make it sacred, because in those quiet moments of reflection, you don't just review your goals, you reconnect with your purpose. In the pursuit of big goals, it's easy to fall into a dangerous trap, the belief that only the final result matters, that success only counts when you've reached the finish line, but that mindset is one of the biggest reasons people quit. Why? Because when you ignore small wins, the journey starts to feel empty, heavy, endless. Here's the truth: achievement is not a one-time event. It's a series of small victories stacked consistently over time. Celebrating small wins isn't just about feeling good, it's a strategy. It's how you train your brain to stay motivated, focused, and emotionally invested in the process, and science backs this up. Every time you celebrate progress, no matter how tiny, your brain releases dopamine, the reward chemical. It reinforces the behavior and makes you want to keep going. Imagine trying to climb a mountain, but you never pause to look back and see how far you've come. You'll get exhausted. You'll start questioning if the climb is worth it. You'll forget that you're making progress. But if you stop at checkpoints, catch your breath, and celebrate how far you've climbed, you reignite your energy for the next stretch. Let's take a few examples. If your goal is to write a book, don't wait to celebrate when the final chapter is complete. Celebrate when you finish your first page, your first week of writing, your first 10,000 words. If your goal is to save money, celebrate when you save your first $100. If your goal is to get fit, celebrate the first week you didn't skip a workout. It doesn't have to be a big celebration. A small reward, a fist pump, a journal entry, a post-it note on the wall that says I showed up today. These micro-celebrations build internal momentum. They create emotional milestones. They remind you, I'm doing it, I'm on my way, but here's something even deeper. When you celebrate your small wins, you're shifting your identity. You're no longer someone who wants to change someday. You're someone who is already changing. Every win is evidence. Every action is proof. And the more proof you gather, the more unstoppable you become. Celebrating progress also trains you to enjoy the journey, not just chase the destination. Because guess what? The finish line is only one moment, but the journey is made up of thousands of moments. If you can't find joy in the process, you'll burn out before you arrive. Most people quit not because the goal was too hard, but because they forgot to enjoy the small victories along the way. They were so focused on how far they still had to go, they missed the fact that they were already winning in ways they once prayed for. So ask yourself, what can I celebrate today? What progress have I made in the last week? How can I reward myself for showing up, even if it wasn't perfect? It's not about being arrogant or satisfied too early. It's about fueling your fire with positivity, presence, and proof. Because if you learn to celebrate every step forward, success isn't something you reach at the end. It's something you experience every single day along the way.